I'm Sophia A. Jackson, and I'm the editor and founder of Aphrodisiac Theatre News. And today I'm joined by
Simon Anthony Rhoden, and I played Dwayne in The Hot Wing King.
Thank you. So I love Katori Hall. She's such a wonderful playwright. In your own words, what is The Hot Wing King about?
I'd say The Hot Wing King is about the complexities of relationship. I think what it means to love and the grief that a person goes through, at least from my character's perspective. It's also about a joy and real relationships, I'd say.
That's interesting because you wouldn't think that from the title. It sounds like
No,
it's a
but I
lot
mean, I
deeper.
feel like yeah, well, I mean, I feel like it's definitely about hot wings as well, and a hot wing competition for sure. But I think in terms of like, I think what it means to me, probably, like, that's what it sort of feels like it's about. And I think when people sort of see it, I guess they'll probably like that. My answer would make probably a little bit more sense. But I guess I guess it is about it's sort of like framed around a hot wing festival,
Hmm.
an annual hot wing festival that the group of men do every single year. But life gets in the way of this particular event, and so one would have to come and see the show to fully sort of like be able to sort of like unravel all the things.
Thank you. And previously you played Aaron Burr in Hamilton, but in this show you're playing
Yeah,
Dwayne in The Hot Wing King. So can
yeah,
you tell me about your
yeah.
character and how you relate to them?
Dwayne, I would say, he's a fixer. He's always trying to find solutions to problems, and he's a hotel manager, and is often not home all the time because he's constantly sort of like working, basically. He likes structure, which is quite similar to me. I love structure and order. I feel like without structure and order, Dwayne sort of doesn't know how to fit. And that's very similar to me, actually. Yeah, so that's sort of like what he's like, but he's a lot of fun. He's very direct. He's very direct. um and he feels, I think he feels probably too much, and so he probably hides a lot of stuff away from people, probably to his detriment, and especially his relationship with Cordell.
Is that what you're like as well? Do you hide things from people?
No, I'm a little bit more open. No, definitely. No, I'm probably more open. I love structure, but I'm direct, but also like I wouldn't say brutally honest, although maybe people might contest that. But like, I certainly I certainly like to know where I stand in all occasions, but whether it be happy or sad, good or bad.
And how have you managed to build the chemistry and connection with Kadif Kirwan, who is your partner in the play?
So me and Kadif, like, we've sort of gotten to know each other really well over the course of this rehearsal process. But I think we've been admirers of each other's work in the past, and so we were looking forward, I think, to the opportunity to working together. So it's been quite easy, to be honest. Like, he's a really lovely, warm, generous person,
Mm.
and it's been just a natural sort of like connection. And then we've also got Bethan, and Roy, the director, who has been helping us with a lot of the intimacy moments in the show. And so again, like lots of the exercises that we've done, it's just sort of like allowed that sort of connection to grow quite organically. And I think we were both conscious of making sure that it felt organic and not forced. Like, whatever, however we are able to communicate on a physical level in the for the sake of certain moments or anything like that. So and we've both always been on the same page, and we always communicate where we are at certain levels of physical touch or any type of intimacy, really. So yeah, so it's been lovely getting to know and work with Kadif.
And you're actually currently in rehearsals now. So what's your favourite part of the rehearsal
Yeah.
process?
There's a few. Like, this room is fantastic. Like, the people, the cast are genuinely like so lovely. Roy's an amazing director,
Mm.
and like the whole crew, like our stage managers and everyone that supports this show, from voice to intimacy to lighting, to sound, to music. Like there's so many things going on. And so yeah, so it's just an amazing room to be a part of. But Roy likes to do these things before we start any rehearsal day. We do check-ins with each other, and it's you can sort of like
Nice.
say a lot or a little about how you're feeling that day, and I think it really puts everyone in a good place just in terms of where one stands with somebody else. And if someone isn't feeling too great, you know, to sort of like take the gas, the pressure off in terms of sort of like trying to get, you know, I don't know, like give them too much energy or whatever it is, sort of thing. Or if so, you know, maybe they might need it that particular day, and they've said so, or whatever. But like, it's just nice to sort of like know where you stand with a person the moment you sort of like start rehearsals, because I mean, especially a show like this, there's so much going on. Like, it's good to sort of like know where people are mentally, in order to sort of like have the best, have as best a time you can.
And is that unusual then to have a check-in before you start each rehearsal day?
I would say so. Yeah, like it doesn't
Nice.
often happen, and I guess obviously like quite a small cast. However, saying that, like everyone in the room. So Roy's rule is like the only rule is that if we've got a kitchen island, so we're literally rehearsing with like a makeshift version of our set, and so if you're around the island, you
Yeah.
participate in the check-in, and
Oh,
so yeah,
okay.
so everyone does it, and it's great. It's really good. So like even you know I guess because obviously there's different responsibilities in the show as well. Like whether you're an actor or a creative of some kind, you're going to have different concerns or worries, or sometimes maybe they're similar. But like we all know how to, and it's also really good at getting to know people in the room as well. Because often you'll find like the cast and director are really sort of like pally and friendly, but then you don't really get to spend much time or talk to any other creative in the room. Whereas this exercise also allows you to get to know everyone in the room. So no one's a stranger. And it really feels like everyone's participating in making this show and making it as good as it can be.
That's fascinating. And do you think that the check-in process on the first day to how it is now that you're further in, are people more open then?
I wouldn't say more open. I wouldn't say less open either. But like, I think because Roy created such a comfortable environment, it was almost like therapy. And so like the check-in
Oh,
sessions probably went on for like an hour as opposed to 15 minutes in the beginning. Whereas
yeah.
now, where I think also we're feeling the crunch of when the show
Yeah,
opens
it's soon.
next week.
Yeah.
It's soon, and so now it's an efficient 15 minutes, which is people still sort of like get stuff off their chest, but it's a lot more efficient than it ever used to be. So yeah, it's good, it's good, it's good.
And how involved has Katori Hall been, if she's been involved at all? Obviously, she's in America, but
So we've Yeah, so she's been filming. I can't remember what season she's on with P Valley. I love that show. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's fantastic.
yeah.
So she's been filming that, and so she's not been over at the moment, but we have had a Zoom chat with her, and it was a thrilling. It was a thrilling call. Like it was
That's
just
nice.
so. For me, I think a lot of my concerns have been culture and language,
Okay.
because although it's American, it's a specific dialect in America, Memphis. And
Mm.
then just culturally, like, although I'm a black person, not all black people are the same. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's been really interesting to talk to her about stuff that, like, stuff that she's written, because it's so visceral, this that her writing, um
Mm.
and also just literally talking to her, like she's such a, I think it's Memphisian. She's so
Okay.
from Memphis. She's so, where she's from, and like it was an education in itself just talking to her, because a lot of the mannerisms and the way that she sort of
Mm.
like flowed certain words, like, so for my character, for example, he's as a hotel manager, but he is from Memphis, and he's probably he lives a middle class lifestyle, but is
Yeah.
from a working class background.
Hmm.
And so he often code switches, and you'll hear that in the language of the
Oh,
text that
brilliant.
she's written.
Yeah, I can
And
relate.
yeah, and so she too was doing that so effortlessly, sort of thing, obviously unintentionally, but there were some formal questions she answered, and then when she was sort of like more relaxed about a thing, she was so just really sort of like casual about it, and it was just fascinating to see her go between the two. And so yeah, so as I say, it was an education in itself to just watch her and talk to her. So yeah.
Well, I suppose if she's from Memphis, I guess she's useful in terms of getting the accent spot on.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I mean, she's been really kind of like generous in terms of like, so the way it, like the way that it's written, like it's written in the dialect sometimes, but sometimes it isn't. And she's been kind of like relaxed in terms of like how we approach it. We do have an amazing accent coach on the show, Hazel, and she's Hazel Holder, and she's been great at helping us sort of like find like it's a different, because it's a whole different like a way of like talking and behaving. Like you have to really relax the back of your jaw and kind of let it just sit down here, sort of thing. So and that just like changes your voice. So yeah, so yes, it's a whole different way of speaking.
Yeah, and it must be a whole different pressure as well of like getting the accent right, but at least it's not on in America. It's here, so we probably won't even notice.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, probably in some ways it would be helpful if it was in America, because at least we sort of like be able to sort of like have easier references. I mean, obviously, like, you know, we're living in a modern day, so like obviously we've got lots of references off the internet, which has been also very helpful. But there's nothing like speaking to somebody like one-to-one and sort of like learning their mannerisms and things like that. So yeah, but we're having a lot of fun. I think the most thing, I think with when talking to Katori, she just wanted us to have fun and be as shameless as possible about the project ourselves, and about the story. So yeah,
I'm very intrigued. So obviously the title is Hot Wing King. So have you been eating a lot of hot wings?
Yes, to get into character. I mean, it's funny. I don't know if I'm going to. There's some days I'm like, I've had enough hot wings, and other days I'm like, oh, I need to try the recipe at home. Yeah, exactly.
So where are you getting the hot wings from? Have you got like a favorite place? Do you get in Deliveroo? How does it work?
No. So I mean, we did a photo shoot once, and we got those from Nando's. But most of the time, we're cooking them from scratch. So there's live cooking that happens on stage. And so yeah, so we're literally, because like, so when you'll see like there's a whole recipe to the wings that we cook. There are a few different types of wings in the show.
Yeah.
And so there's a recipe for all of them, and so we cook them on stage. And so we've been cooking and eating our own wings.
That's amazing. So does the National Theatre smell of hot wings?
So our rehearsal room does for sure. So like, although funnily enough, our rehearsal room's right next to the cafeteria. So actually, you never know where the smell's actually coming from.
So will you be cooking like live on stage? Will you be able to smell like the aromas? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That is very cool. And finally, so I've got my quick fire questions next, but the last question in this section is why should we come and see the show?
To come and see the show, I think it's just full of black boy joy. I think it's full of love. I think it's full of it's just it's also got like these 5 extraordinary actors, like everyone in the show: Kadif, Jason, Alyssa, Dwayne, and Kyrese as well. Like they're all brilliant, and this show has been so well cast. Come and see the show, because I think it's just honest. I think it's just about life. And I think I think you should come and see the show for therapy, and not to sort of like have answers to your problems, but to understand how relationships work and the complexities of relationships and how communication is so valuable. Like it's just an honest depiction of life. So, you know, regardless of like, aside from the fact that it's a lovely queer play, aside from the fact you've got some amazing black actors on stage, and it's so funny. It's so funny, and I can't wait to not laugh every time I hear certain lines, because at the moment I corpse all the time, and it's really hard not to, because it's so brilliant. I'm
excited to see it. I mean, you talked so joyfully about it anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so the quick fire questions. What's your favorite theatre space that you've ever worked in?
I have to say the National Theatre. It's amazing. Like, I think you've got 3 different spaces. We get this awesome, the Dorfman. I think the Dorfman is so. I mean, all the spaces are quite malleable in terms of like you can sort of change them into however you want. But the Dorfman, I like an intimate space as well, and I feel as though the Dorfman's a good. It's not too big, but it's not too small, and I feel as though you can really, when being an audience member or an actor, like you can really sort of like you feel connected to everyone in the space, and I think that's really nice. But I've been very lucky, so I've worked in like some amazing spaces. But yeah, I'd have to say like working here is amazing. It's like it's just incredible.
And what's your earliest memory of going to the theatre, and who took you?
So I think my family probably took me to I think it was pantomime, and I think it was Jack and the Beanstalk. And I remember I think I fell in love with just the magic of the beanstalk. I couldn't get at the time. Like, I think I was probably about 5, maybe younger.
That's nice.
And I remember the beanstalk. But I believed that the beanstalk was a beanstalk, but all it probably was just a rope and then a set change. But in
5-year-old you Jack thought it was.
Yeah. He climbed that stalk and he got to the top, and I was like, whoa. And that's the first time that's my earliest memory of like falling in love with
that's lovely.
Theatre, for sure.
And if you could invite anyone to come to press night to see the Hot Wing King, dead or alive, who would you invite?
I'd invite my dad, who did pass away just at the end of 2019. And I think, I mean, he was already, that's okay. He was already quite proud of me, but he never got to see me grow as an actor. And I think this one he'd love, because I remember when I came out to him years ago, he wasn't concerned about my sexuality at all, which I was because he was the person I was most fearful of telling.
Understandably,
he was just but he was just more like happy that I just was in like doing the right thing with my life, or like not getting into trouble. Do you know what I mean? And so so it was really, so I think it would be cool for him. I mean, he did see me play a massive drag queen on the West End stage, so I think something like this would be really cool.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to share before we go?
That was Kinky Boots, yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Come and see the Hot Wing King, it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
thank you. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your lunch.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.